It's a great software created in 2017. I thought that it was a bit more older. However, it's fairly recent and it's a very powerful software. It can help you to create a specific team. And by team, it's basically the area where all the members of a specific project can work on. You can chat with your teams. You can chat on different subgroup in a specific project. The project can be divided by parts. You can post on the different parts. You can upload and store files per part. And you can also do meetings, which we're doing right now on Microsoft Teams. So for the moment, I'm going to show you how to create a specific team. So you're going to go to your team main interface and you're going to click on the team section. Now on the team section, you're going to hit the bottom button, forgetting the words, button join or create team. Now if you hit here, then you can create a team and then you simply place the name. So you have your team name, your team description. If it's going to be a private team, then only the members that you add can join, and only members that are owners can actually include other people. So once you have all of that, you can click on next, and you created your first team. Now, it's going to ask you to place specific members. Normally, from what I've seen, you can place the name and it already knows the member that you can add. But that is if you have the contact on your Outlook, on your Microsoft Outlook. If not, I think that you can put the email and you can also add a member. In this case, I added a member and then I click on the button add to essentially add him. If you do not have any members that you want to add at this particular moment, you can simply click on the skip button on the bottom. You can click here. There's no problem with that. Later, you can also include other members, so it's okay. So let's add all the members we want, and then we're going to go to the next part. You click close. So now you have your specific team. In this case, I named it test because it's only for the test. But you can create a team. I don't think you have a limit on the amount of teams you can create. If so, I still haven't reached it. And likewise with the members, I don't think there's a limit to the amount of members you can have from what I've known at the moment. However, this is the main interface. You're going to have here the image of your team, going to have the name here. You can access other options here. And this is going to be your first channel, which is basically the general channel where you have everything. When you click on a channel, you're going to have the post section. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the future. The file section where you basically can upload all the files for that specific channel. And then you have your plus, a plus icon where you can add different apps to your Microsoft Teams. The incredible thing about Microsoft Teams is that it helps you to link other programs. You can basically upload Excel files, PowerPoint files, Word files. You can use your planner, which I'm going to show you later. You can sync everything to this app. Like it's a very useful and very powerful software. Now, I'm going to show you how to add members if you didn't add them previously. In this case, what we're going to do is on the right of the name of your team, you're going to go to the ellipses, right? The three dots. You're going to click on them, and then you're going to use the function here that's called Manage Team. Going to click on that option. Once you click on that option, you can place the name of the different members that you want to add. I want to stress that if you place the name itself, you have to have them on Outlook so that they appear here. I think you can add the email as well. But once you add all the names, I'm going to put in name of one of the members. You can click on add, and then you have the members listed. In this case, you can actually change the role of the specific members of your group. Let's say that the group is not only dictated by you, you're not the only leader. Maybe you have multiple leaders, or maybe you're someone that's responding to a higher leader, so depending on what the role you have on that specific team is, you can actually place it here. You can place if the person that's on the team is simply a member. By being a member, he can access everything. However, the owners are the ones that can actually add more people and do other stuff. So let's do other stuff. In this case, let's add a channel. Now, channels are basically the equivalent of folders. In this case, let's say that you have your team. Your team may be a single folder right here called test. And inside that specific folder, you can have other folders, right? Other folders. Normally, we like to use folders to separate things because it's a lot more easier when we have to find stuff. And that's what channel helps us do, okay? So what we can do at the right of the name of the team, you can go back to the three dots and now you click on add channel. You click on add channel. And by clicking on that, you can then put the channel name. You can put how the channel is going to be called. I placed channel 01, but you can place whatever you want. You can add the description of that specific channel right here. And you can add if it automatically shows to everyone on your channel list. And then click on add. Now, when you have your channel, each individual channel has its own post area, has its own files, and you can add more apps. So you can have all of that for specific channels. When do you want to use that? Basically, when you have projects that involve multiple parts, right? In as an example, let's say you're doing an activity or some type of education. Maybe you can have a channel that's general for everyone that has like the main things that everyone wants to see. You can have a specific channel for the educational aspects where the people that are creating the presentations or the experiments, et cetera, can actually delve into that and talk in their own space. Then you can have another channel that's for the people that does the catering. You know, maybe they have an Excel where they're placing all the things that they need, the pictures, different things, you know, like maybe even forums for the people to know if they're vegan, etc. You can have everything on different areas, and it's very powerful. It's very convenient. Now, why is Teams useful? Now, I've been saying it basically some of the things that are useful with Teams. However, I'm going to show you a lot of the things that I usually do when working with Microsoft Teams. Here's an example of a post that I did in a project that we're working on. Now, the information here is in Spanish, so I'm going to basically give you a brief description of what I placed there. But what I did was we have in this project, we have them by different components. There's a part of the project that's done with biology. There's another part that's done with engineering, with chemistry, and we also have an educational component. So I basically placed the channels based on those specific criteria. And once you have that specific channel, you can have posts for that specific part. The people in biology probably don't want to have their post area flooded by the things that the people in chemistry are doing. Not bad, but it's a lot more convenient that if you want to see the things that the people in chemistry are doing, you go to the channel of chemistry and then you see everything. You know, it's a bit more convenient in that aspect. This is a specific post that I did where I said, hey, we got to do a presentation for basically a report that we have to do. I gave the description of what we need to do, and I placed the files. I placed the PowerPoint that we want to do for the presentation. I placed some files that we use to basically inform ourselves of what we need to add, you know, as references or as supplementary material. I added an Excel sheet for the data that we had, and I can continue to comment on the post. Different people can comment on the post. They can add pictures, they can add messages, they can add files. You can share everything on the post section of that specific component in Teams, the specific channel. In addition to that, you can also call members. So if we want to report the things that we do, we can add a post where we basically say, hey, we acquired samples for X thing thanks to said member, and another member. These people did the preparation, these people did the acquisition, these members did the analysis, these members helped to log everything, etc., etc. You can place all of that information and you can actually reference the people, and then you can add the data. Here I have the data in an Excel sheet. Now, you can also create tasks for your specific projects, right? On your channel, you can do this for every channel, right? On the specific channel that you want, you're going to see a plus icon at the right of the Files tab. You're going to click on it. There you can actually search for Planner, which is an app that's very, very useful. We're going to see it right now. And when I click on Planner, I'm going to create a new plan. And basically that plan is going to be for that specific channel. I use it mostly for the specific project as a whole, but if you want to separate by different channels, you can also do that, right? You can simply create a plan and place it for that specific channel. So I called it test because this is simply a test, and then I click on save. Now, this specific plan that I have on the screen is one that I use for myself, which I'm going to talk about that later, but you can also open it on the website. You can go to Microsoft Planner or task.office.com and you can access your plans, right? The different areas where you're going to include all the tasks for your projects. You can do that. I prefer, basically, Teams is great for syncing everything. But when I want to work with a specific project, it's still synced to Teams, but I basically use it in specific app. I don't use it in the interface of Teams. Why? Because I prefer it, right? I prefer to work on the specific interface of the app, right? So when I use Planner, I go to the website of Planner. In here, we have the name of the Teams or the channel. This is one that I did personally for me, which I'm going to talk later. And what do we do in Planner? We usually place different tasks. This is a specific task that I have to do. I have to create a paper on acetone. I have to grade notebooks. I have to do X thing. I place the task on three different columns. The tasks that I have to do, which are the ones I haven't started, the tasks that are in progress, which are the ones that are currently being done. Maybe they're on hold, but they have at least started, right? Those are the ones in progress, and the ones in done, which are the ones that are completed. Now, if you see there's no test here, but that's because when you complete a project, Planner places it on another tab. You have this one that says completed tasks. And here we can see the amount of tasks that I have completed. What's the greatest thing about this? You can have multiple tasks. I haven't seen a limit to the tasks. You can have the, you can name them, you can add subcategories, you can do a lot. In this case, you can also use this to log. You can use this to actually see what you did on the past. So if you have a specific project and the project ended, you do not delete the planner. Don't delete the planner. You have that as a reference for future work. Now you have that as a blueprint, as a template for when you have to do different projects, right? Maybe they are similar, and even if they're not similar in what they do, they might be similar on how you're going to organize them. So it's always good to have those tasks being completed. And even if you did not insert the information when you started the task, log it, place it, place that you did it. That's going to help you when you want to use it as a reference. And there's some other things we can do in Planner. If you click on the task itself, you can add the title of the task. You can add all the people that you want to delegate the task to. You can put the different tags for your task, which are basically those names that you can then search to find that specific task. You can have the area, if it's the progress, if you completed the task, if it's in progress, etc., etc. The priority, if this is urgent, if this is normal priority, if this is important, etc., etc. The date you started it, the deadline for that specific task. If you want to repeat it weekly, monthly, etc. You can add notes. You can basically give more information about that task. And my favorite part, my second favorite part, the checklist. You can actually divide the task into more bite-sized tasks. And that's incredible because that's something that we have to do. When you want to actually do something, you have to divide it into more manageable pieces. Because if you do not do that, then you're going to get overwhelmed, right? If you see a specific task, create a paper, you're going to be very overwhelmed. But if you divide it by parts, create the title, find the keywords, do the introduction, create the figures. If you divide it by subtasks, it becomes a lot, but a lot more manageable. Okay, so I fully recommend that you divide the task by checklist. The only not so good thing about Planner is that you have a limit of the different subtasks that you have for a specific task. You can have a total of 20 different subtasks. So if you have more than 20, you have to basically delete them to keep adding more. And I would prefer that you could keep adding because then you can document it. You can have it as a reference for later. However, it's a small query. It's still a great program to use. So in addition to the checklist, you can also add files. I have here my Excel files. I have my Power. I think that this is my PDF files. You can see the PDF files. You simply click on them. You want to see an X file, an Excel file, you click on it. And if you click on it, the other great thing about Teams is that it's going to sync with the Teams. So even if you open it in the Excel app, it's still going to sync. The things that you did when you click on save, they're going to be saved on the file in Teams. And multiple people can work on the same file. So you don't have to download the file, do your stuff, and then upload it again. And then the other person takes it out and does the same. You don't have to do that. You can simply work on the same file. It's very convenient. It's very flexible. You can also do, as we're doing right now, create a meeting. We can have people talking with the microphone. We can have people chatting while you do your thing, while you're working on the document, and multiple people can work at the same time. So you can do everything remotely. You can all collaborate. You can also record the meetings so you can see it later and document everything you did, etc., etc. Now, when you do, if you're working on a project or a research group or in work, etc., if you have meetings, it's very, very important that you use Planner. You can use Planner while you're doing the meeting. Normally, from what I've heard from other students that have worked on different industries and things, when they start the meeting, they have a person that's basically working the slides on PowerPoint. They have the other person that's logging everything on Planner, and they have the other person that's talking. Okay, so it gives it gives a lot more control because when they start talking about stuff and they say, okay, so we got to do this, do that, the people that working in Planner can start uploading everything and you can detail everything. And when then you go out of the meeting, you can see everything and it's a lot more clearer, the objectives and the things that we got to get done. So it's very imperative that we use Planner. Planner is great. You can use it with tasks, with Microsoft Teams, etc., etc. I've not gone too long on this. So the other thing that you can do with Teams is going back to the plus icon at the right of the files of a specific channel, you can add a calendar. And when you click on the calendar, you put the name of the calendar, if it's a standard one, if it's displayed by month, etc., and you click on save. Now, when you have a calendar, you can basically add as much events as you can for that specific channel. So the same way, maybe the people in electronics do not care what the people in chemistry are doing. So they don't want the events to merge. But what if you actually want to see something that the people in chemistry did? Then you go to the chemistry channel, you go to the calendar, and then you can see the events. So it's really, really useful. Now, here's an example. You can basically click on any date. Well, any date, you can click on it. You can place the name of the event. You can place the start date, the end date, the times, the time zone, description, etc., etc. You can place basically all the information for the event. What do I use it for? Well, in the past, one of the members of our group created a calendar for the instruments, for when we were using the instruments. We didn't use it for a long time. And I don't know what happened that recently I saw it and I say, why are we not using this calendar to check when we are using the instruments? Because we use the same instruments. And sometimes you go to the lab and the person already is using them. And you're like, well, I cannot use them now, so I'm gonna come back later. And that can affect your whole schedule, right? So what do? You write on the calendar, hey, I'm going to use the instrument from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then the other person, when it goes to the calendar to actually see it and document its time also, is gonna see, okay, so from three to five, I cannot use it. So I'm gonna use it before that or after that. So this is very good to keep an eye on everything that's being done. And this is not limited to instruments. You can also have it for other things, for events, etc. Very, very good. It's a very great app that you can use in addition with the Microsoft Teams. So the other thing that we can use, I haven't used this specific option, but I found it researching for this. And it's called We Decide. And basically, it's another app that you can add to your teams where you can write a decision, right? A question. You can say, hey, do we want to make an AFM video? And then all the members of the team can click on the approve, that they approve this decision, that we have to do this, or they can reject the decision. So this is amazing. I love this. You can basically put the question here. You put when do you need this, the date, the deadline. You can give more context to the decision, what's basically going to be the repercussions. You can put the implications if you approve of that decision and the implications if you reject that decision. Okay, so you can have all of that and then the people can approve or reject it. And you can archive them. So you can have a log of all the decisions that you did for that specific project. This sounds like a very great addition. I personally have not used it yet, but I want to use it. I want to use it, and yeah, it's a great addition. And there's a lot of more apps that you can use in addition with Microsoft Teams. However, I haven't had the time to actually see through all of them. But one of the other things that Microsoft Teams can do for you is you can use it personally. You can actually create a Teams for yourself. Okay, so if you create a Teams, you do not have to. You're not in your obligation to add members. You simply click on skip, and you have a team for yourself. And why is that useful? Well, I have a channel for everything. I have a channel for different projects. I have a channel for the different classes that I give. I even have a channel for my YouTube. Okay. So, and what's the great thing about that? I have my own posts, I have my own files, I have my own calendar. I can place the calendar for the specific things. I can place everything on Teams. Very convenient. You don't have to have your computer to use it also. If you have everything on Teams, you can use a different computer, a different mobile device, and you can still keep adding and you can still keep editing the files, etc. Okay, so Teams is very, very flexible. It's very convenient. I hope that you all start using it. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can answer them. You can ask them through the microphone. You can ask them in the chat. Tell me what you think. If you have any recommendations, any suggestions. For the moment being, this is the end. I hope you're doing well. I hope you have a great day. And thank you all for watching.